Hey, I'm Trey Cooper and I'm Atlanta's best realtor. And I'm here today to do an exciting video with mortgage banker Reese Cohen of Atlantic Bay Mortgage.
Hello.
So today we're going to cover 5 really awesome questions. Our questions today are: what are the 4 most common types of mortgage financing? What are mortgage interest rates for a 30-year fixed and a 15-year fixed? How long does it take to close when you select a house? What is PMI? PMI is also referred to as private mortgage insurance. And what is the least amount of cash needed to close on a $300,000 house, a $500,000 house, and $1 million house? So without further ado, let's talk mortgages and money with Reese Cohen.
All right.
All right. So Reese, what are the 4 types of mortgage financing?
Okay, the 4 most popular types of financing right now in the industry are conventional lending,
Right.
VA, FHA, and jumbo. So with conventional lending, the good news is the limit was just raised to $453,100 from $424, so that gives borrowers more buying power. With VA,
And before we move on, also, most people assume that the most popular conventional mortgage is 20% down, 80% financed, and actually right now it's 5% down and 95% financed.
correct. So you have great options with as little as 5% down, not 20. And if you're a first-time home buyer, which means you haven't owned a property in the last 3 years, you can get into that home for as little as 3% down.
Perfect. And with the VA, you can do 100% financed. That's thank you for serving our country. And that's one of the most interesting things about VA. Would you agree?
Correct. 100% financing, no mortgage insurance, and incredible interest rates with VA if you qualify.
Perfect. And FHA.
So with FHA is beneficial in that it gives you a little bit more leniency from an underwriting standpoint. Still have very good interest rates, but there will be mortgage insurance required on all FHA loans.
Okay, perfect. Now let's talk about jumbo. What is a jumbo mortgage?
Okay, so a jumbo mortgage is any mortgage that is above the new conventional limit of $453,100. So if you are buying a home in that $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 range, and you're not going to put enough down to get under $453,100, then we have to look at jumbo options for you.
So just to be clear, it's almost like a regular or more common mortgage. If it's below $450,000, above that, it falls into the category of a jumbo mortgage, which is like a big mortgage.
That's right.
All right, so question 2. What are mortgage interest rates right now for a 30-year fixed? And what are mortgage interest rates for a 15-year fixed?
All right, great question. Currently, rates on conventional loans for a 30-year fix with a well-qualified borrower right around 4%. And then for a 15-year fixed rate, you're going to find them about 0.5% lower, so probably right about 3.5% right now.
Perfect. And just to put that in perspective, I'm 34 years old. Those are some of the best interest rates that we've seen in my lifetime. Would you agree with that?
Historically, interest rates are incredibly low. The 20-year average is probably over 6% right now, so to be in the 3 and 4% range is historically low, definitely.
Yeah, and one of the things to keep in mind that when interest rates go up, your buying power will go down. So
that same home that you could buy for $300,000 to $350,000, you may only be able to afford $250,000 to $275,000 if interest rates go up 0.5%.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So now's the time to call this man.
All right, sounds good. So let's do, and question 3. Once you identify a house, how long does it take to close on your new home?
Great question. So, in this market, you got to be ready to jump. One thing that we can offer at Atlantic Bay is a loan approval, not a pre-qualification, but an approval with a to be determined address. It means you don't have to have a property yet. We get you underwritten in 2 to 3 days. Once we do that, we can close in less than 14 days if needed, but I would say 14 to 20 days. Without doing a to be determined approval, we can definitely get you closed in under 30 days, and we know that's important in this market.
Yeah. And Reese said that lightly, but that's performing at an extremely high level. And I feel like that's one of the things that we've done to serve our buyers at the highest level and negotiate at the highest level is the fact that our buyers can close quicker than anyone. everyone thinks that the most important term is how much you're going to pay for the house, and that is very important. Another very important term is how quickly can you execute, how quickly can you perform, and how quickly can you close. That's what sellers care about when you're the buyer, and in order for you to be the most successful buyer, you have to understand what's important to the seller. All right, so moving right along, question number 4. What is PMI? Also, PMI is short for private mortgage insurance. So what is private mortgage insurance?
Right, so private mortgage insurance is required on any loan where you put less than 20% down. Basically, it insures over your down payment and that gap between 20%. So for example, if you put 10% down, then you have a 10% gap that has to be insured over. Same with 5% or even 15%. Whatever the gap between your down payment is and the 20%, you have to have PMI to insure over that gap. The better your credit score is, the lower your PMI is going to factor into that scenario.
Yeah.
Now, one of the good things we spoke about, Trey, is that if you have good credit, we also have programs called lender-paid mortgage insurance, where we can cover your mortgage insurance requirements and your interest rate, give you a lower payment, and not have to pay a monthly PMI premium.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And you know, again, I'm 34. I'm a millennial, so all I was growing up, you know, you always hear people say, "You got to put 20% down. You got to put 20% down," and that's because over time you did have to put 20% down, so that you, and if you did not put 20% down, you would have to pay private mortgage insurance. So the fact that you can buy a house, put 5% down, and if your credit is over a 720, not have to pay private mortgage insurance is a big deal. Would you agree with that?
Correct. I always say it's not, you don't always have to look at the best interest rate, you got to look at the lowest payment. So you can put as little, in some cases, 3% down if you're a first-time home buyer, but definitely 5% down and not have to pay monthly mortgage insurance.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to question number 5. What is the least amount of cash needed to close on the purchase of a $300,000 house, on the purchase of a $500,000 house, and then how much cash is needed to close on a $1 million house? So Reese, how much cash is needed to close for the purchase of a $300,000 house?
So the minimum amount of cash you would need to close on a $300,000 house, assuming you're a first-time home buyer, which means you haven't owned a home in at least 3 years, is going to be $9,000, which is 3%.
Perfect. So what is the least amount of cash needed to close on a $500,000 house?
And so for a $500,000 house, I'd say you're going to have at least 5% down to qualify for that type of purchase, which would be $25,000 on a $500,000 house.
Okay, perfect. And what is the least amount of cash needed to close on a $1 million house?
All right, now we're getting up in that jumbo range. Trey's making the big sales here. So in that $1 million range, we could get you into it with only 10% down and $100,000. And so you would not need that 20% that you have historically heard in the jumbo market, 10% down on the jumbo.
Okay. So Reese, we really appreciate your time.
Definitely.
It's awesome. It's very important to understand a lot of the things that we talked to. I would say 95% of buyers will need a mortgage. And so they'll need to understand a lot of the concepts that we talked about here. Reese is very knowledgeable and has been in the industry for a very long time. Reese, also Atlantic Bay Mortgage is newer to the Atlanta market.
Correct.
Can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing?
Appreciate it. So I've been in the Atlanta market for over 12 years in the mortgage industry. I'm bringing the Atlantic Bay name and brand to Atlanta. We're opening up a brand new Sandy Springs office. Next week we're having our grand opening. We're very excited about it. We are, big in service, closing on time, and taking care of our clients the best way possible. And with your hands with Trey representing you on the buy side, you'll be in great shape.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
You got it.
So, I'm fortunate to have been in real estate for a long time. I got my first real estate job when I was 23 years old, 34 now. Ooh. So we take pride, and I'm fortunate to be a top producer here in the Atlanta market. I take pride in serving our clients at the highest level. We focus on expert advice and white glove service, and that's exactly what you can expect when you come to us to purchase a home or sell a home. And the final thing that we focus on is extraordinary results. We know and believe that when you go through us, you will get the most house for the least amount of money, and that you will be served at the absolute highest level. Thank you so much for your time. Have an outstanding day. My phone number is 404-273-0435. Again, it's Trey Cooper, 404-273-0435. And Reese, would you like to share your information?
Yeah, you can reach me directly at 404-271-8500. That's my cell phone. Be reached anytime. 404-271-8500.
Have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.